and it looked like it was the hull was gutted. You know, it was kind of a wood frame on it, and if you look into it, it was just black. You know, you can sort of see a couple where the windows were. I don't think there was windows even in it. The mast is in great shape. It had a sail on it with a sail cover. I mean, everything else looked fine on it. So
I
didn't notice if it had numbers to registered boat or not.
I hadn't noticed. Hello, Jennifer. Hi. Great article.
Hi, Jen. Friday. But it's on hold. The nanny had a positive
If it moves a
COVID
little
test,
bit more
so I'm
into
waiting.
the channel, it's going to
Nanny
have
had
to be
a positive
removed,
COVID.
I would think.
It's technically
So I'm
in the
waiting to
channel.
find out if
I mean,
anybody in the
Except
family.
it-
because that's the last.
Yeah,
the last
isn't that a
red,
kick in the head? Isn't it?
Marker, yeah.
marker.
But
ends
she might not
before,
really,
it
you know, it might
literally
be a
goes to the
false,
land,
we're
I think,
hoping.
doesn't it? How the channel goes all the way to the shore after the last red marker there.
There's one up further.
So, how long is she
Differentiate
there
the
for?
channel from the
And
mangroves
they think they're gonna be, I'm waiting, I should get the results any minute now, whether I'm going or not.
Yeah, north, right.
Because they hadn't
So I don't
seen
know
her
if the
because of the
mangroves there
holiday
are-
anyway.
Water's
And it
shallow
was so
there.
hot in
I wouldn't think
California.
that's the,
She happened to be in the pharmacy and they
mangroves
did the temperature
seeding?
check and she was warm. So
it's
they
actually a
said,
little
take
bit
one of these
deeper over
quick
there,
tests and it
believe it
came
or
up
not.
positive. So it's quite
So
likely
past
that
the sea, you know, that first area past the sea.
isn't really positive. I haven't heard it.
False positive.
Yeah, I'm
It's
hoping.
about an 8-foot little
About you, getting any break?
No,
trench in there, I
it's
should
getting
say.
worse.
Oh,
It's got, like 350 times in an hour.
I wonder what the salvage rules are. At one point, is it considered derelict, and then, you know, are people allowed to salvage it? Because if they salvage it, it would save the state a lot of money. He's willing to pull it up and tow it home and fix it or something with it.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's first got to be determined abandoned.
Yeah, I don't know, did you see it had
Actually, a
two
break
red,
for me.
bright red, almost looked like a sticker, you know, if you took a sticker and folded it around one of the lines. Their side, but I wasn't sure if those were, not a sailor, so I don't know if those were markers on the lines or something, but they looked super bright and new. So, I wonder if maybe somebody did slapped a sticker on there or something. I haven't gone close enough. But I still got the anchor rode on it, huh? You think it just dragged the anchor over, or you think it broke?
I don't know. It's
Yes.
depends on what type of anchor it has. I just got a new anchor. What is that thing? It's right into the sand within a foot.
Is that right? Yeah, that's nice.
No chain.
No chain.
No chain.
Oh,
It was,
deep?
I don't see any lights on,
I
Bill.
mean,
So I guess we're not, right?
I mean, you've used it. What depths have you used it in?
10 feet. I don't think I've got. I have a GPS controlled trolling motor, so
I have the same, yeah. I use that a lot too.
like when I'm new pass or something like that, you throw it down. In fact, my wife went down to pick it up, so I could move. She picks it up and drops it, and I pull it, and it just.
Perhaps. That's good.
I mean, it really.
Struggled with them recently. Anchors.
I mean, free. That's what I had. I had
one, and yeah, it was a lighter anchor, and they said, well, let's put a little more chain on there. So I used 6 feet, and then they gave me a 6 feet piece.
I bought 25 feet of chain to go with my old anchor, and it still slipped.
That's what they say. Yeah, it's not the anchor, it's the chain.
It's called Sea Claw. That thing, you can get the real one is brass and stainless. It's about $200, but you can get a
Steve, we're ready to go.
knockoff
Okay.
at Marine Trader for $69.
There you go. Hey, bring this meeting to order. Outside. Call to order. Let's do our Pledge of Allegiance, shall we? Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're here.
We are again.
This will be the fun meeting today.
Here we are again.
It's in my blood. Okay, let's do roll call. starting with Sarah.
All right, Sarah Torgerson, but now Sarah DeBeer.
Oh, congratulations.
Here.
I told you it was gonna be fun.
Yeah. It's DE space BEER.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
E-E-E-R, two E?
BEER.
The beer, oh my gosh.
Cheers.
I guess so. That's hilarious.
Greg Fossum?
Steve Johnson, present?
Jennifer Rusk, present.
Ray Rose Spalletta, no name change.
Bill Veach, council liaison.
Okay. Ed's here. I think we're good to go.
Chat sheet staff here.
I'm going to want to call her Sarah Two Beers.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Miss Renee and Mr. Holmes, Greg Holmes, let us know that they were going to be absent. We'll mark those as excused with your permission.
Okay. So, the agenda. Will we approve it? Are there any changes? Very manageable today?
I move we approve the agenda as, yeah, do we need a motion on that, or we
think
just
so.
do it?
Sure, make a motion.
Sure, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Is that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, let's do this agenda. Our meeting minutes. Get those, Chad?
Yeah, they were mailed to you, emailed to you last week.
Okay, good.
I have a copy here if you.
Something down if I read them, I think, if there's something wrong with them, so that's
I have one correction on the minutes.
no corrections. Yes?
On the last page, the number of reported turtle nests, it should be 131, it reads 137.
Ooh, okay.
With that correction?
Is that? Anybody else?
And I move the minutes be accepted with that one correction?
Have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Meeting minutes are accepted. Public comment. Have anybody out there today? Oh, there he is. Oh, come on up, Rob.
Hello again, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Robert Howell. I'm here again on behalf of the little turtles that are being sold on the island. I know we broke last time with a hope to do more research and kind of come up with some ideas on that. In the meantime, I haven't been up. I haven't done any of the protests or anything since then, just because I figured, we're getting on the legal side of things, so the raising awareness is kind of where it needs to be as far as it's going to get. I have been still finding them around the island, though. I actually do have 3 now in my own possession, and they're in a nice little tank right now. I'm trying to find a forever home for them. I found 1 in the pool at Pink Shell. I found 2 while I was kayaking, and they were floating at low tide. And they were both the yellow-bellied sliders. So just a heads up on that. I have been doing research on my own, and I know we kind of broke last time with the the hope of stopping the sale in the sense of making an ordinance or a law that says if you're not a pet store, you can't sell the animals. And I think that's a great way to go about it. Personally, the more research I did, and that I think that kind of will negate any future problems or things like that coming up. The one thing that we want to be aware of is there are still places that sell the little hermit crabs. So if we did some type of ordinance that said no animals unless you're a pet store, there might have to be something in there about the hermit crabs. Now, even though I'm still not okay with that, those are still not an endangered species, or are they a cause for any kind of like invasion? So. Right, that's all I had to add, and I hope if you guys have questions about what I know or anything like that, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Somebody have any? Excellent, thank you, Rob. And that's, you found 3 since our last meeting, correct? Okay. That's the plus. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Current items. So, discussion of the ordinance regarding yellow-bellied slider turtle sales, Fort Myers Beach. Okay. Anybody looked into this at all anymore, or
Yeah, I've looked into it
thought
a
about it a
lot.
little bit? Have any comments, Mary, you want to share with us?
I do, yeah, I do. Actually, I have something I'd like you to read.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're going to say that this is too broad, but thinking in terms of,
Mary Rose, you probably want to wait and, we hand those out, and you can talk.
I'll talk, okay.
Yeah.
It seemed to me that it's a great idea not to sell these poor little turtles. There's nothing in it for them, and what humans get out of it is certainly limited, but I think it's not just the turtles. What I'd like to do is have a broad law that says if anyone is selling any live animals on the beach, we have the right to step in and say you may not do this. So I went to a couple of websites, and it seems that there are rights of animals that are recognized as being ethical, and they basically are 5 of them. So those are the ones that you see in dark print here. And underneath is a slight explanation, and then I just wrote a little bit of a preface as to why we're doing this, and then at the end what I think how it should be administered. Now, I don't know if this is way too general, if it wouldn't pass, or what you think about it. You know, these are not my ideas with these 5 bullets. Mm-hmm. And there are different ways that you can verbalize this. If you feel that this is too strong of a way to mention these things, but what it would do is it would enable, and I assume it's going to be Chad, is going to walk into the store, and he's going to say the conditions that these turtles are in does not meet this criteria, and therefore, under the powers vested in me by the Fort Myers Beach, you are hereby no longer allowed to sell these animals. And I think that, we need to think ahead, because although today it's turtles, you don't know what it will be. Next week, somebody might decide to sell live rabbits for people with lizards to feed. You don't know. At Easter time, they may be selling chicks for grandparents to, well, that's probably illegal, but I don't want to make up any other examples. So I just thought I'd throw this out here and see if anybody believes it's a good idea, or if we should just try and be very specific.
I have a question. I thought the state of Florida had a law in selling bellied, unless it's for educational purposes.
Below a certain size. Last meeting, I'm sorry, I couldn't recall, I think. Meeting?
Oh.
Okay, that's why, okay.
I think if I recall, the law they said, but it's like a state entity, and that state entity has to be the one who enforces it.
No, it's actually FDA, so I did
FDA,
actually a little
okay,
research
right.
on that.
FDA.
It's the 4-inch turtle law, and it was 1975. There's a regulation enforced by the FDA for preventing the sale of any turtles 4 inches or under. And actually, they decided 4 inches. Anything larger would be harder to fit in a child's mouth. Yeah, so that's not where they, because all turtles can pass along salmonella. It's actually the FDA, and we had talked about, well, who enforces that? And it's actually not the FBI, as we talked about last month. It's the Office of Criminal Investigation, so the OCI, and they have an office down in Miami, is also where the FDA field office is. So before, actually, if you're asking about it, so instead of commenting on this, which I'll do in a second, also, is my thought was, since there's a law on the books, how can we get that enforced? Prevent the sales of those turtles. Instead of actually doing anything on our part, can we actually just actively do a cease and desist letter, have an agent come out here and visit and write them up? I mean, if you stay in their ear, they know you won't go away. They'll do something to stop it, especially if it's illegal. So that was the angle I was thinking about. But did you have anything else you want to ask about Mary Rose's? Okay, thanks, Jennifer. My question on yours, Mary Rose,
Yes.
is, so in the case of the situation right now, them selling turtles, which of these are they not, are they reaching, or which?
Well, let's see. It's comfort, because it's too small in pen that they're in. In injury and disease, when they're all stuck in there,
Have a, I mean,
it's
you prove
it's
that
going to
they're-
be interpretive.
yeah. Normal behavior. Space. You have to make the case what sufficient space is, I think, right?
Right.
Right.
And that's going to be different for each animal.
Sure.
And there's no way that we can list all of the specifics for every animal that might be sold,
No,
unless we're just not going to worry about it and only worry about them one at a time as they're presented.
no. Well, the town would have the burden of proof as to why it's not proper spacing.
They would, right.
I think
I
the
like it.
criteria would be hard to, I mean.
It is, yeah.
I mean, the pet store, and if you're not a pet store, you can't sell live animals, would be a way to possibly circumvent that, but I don't know what the rules are to become a pet store.
Right, if there's a certification process or,
But, I mean, just fill out a piece of paper and now you're a pet store.
that or it's your business license, you know, for government statistics, labor statistics, you need industry code.
Yeah. But I don't know if that would change anything.
Your SIC code, I think, actually, yeah, your SIC.
And if
your-
they're making
or your
$50,000
NACE
a
code.
year on the sale of these turtles, and it's just a piece of paper to become a pet store, they're going to do it.
Really. Those are really solid numbers.
Yeah.
Still, they're making a lot of money doing it.
So, I mean, I guess we need to know what the criteria to become a pet store is. What type of training, and they probably have stuff like this already in there about dogs have to be in a kennel of a certain size, rabbits have to be.
Well, mm-hmm.
So the pet store ordinances may take care of this stuff.
That would probably be a state, do you think, Greg? A state rule or a?
I don't know. I don't know who does pet store certifications, licensing, any of that.
Local, I'd say. Maybe the state,
Probably the state.
putting it out there, but
I guess
Good
that's what
idea.
we need to decide. Do we,
well, do we actually get into that by the next meeting?
or do we
Basically,
take
I'll
this?
find out, I'll make the calls to the field offices and find out if they'll come and stop them on the 4-inch, you know, on the FDA law. Which is, yeah, but I should have sent, I'll send that out. And then if we can find out if it's realistic for the town to, would that be that would be an ordinance? Actually legally write an ordinance prohibiting the sale of animals without a pet store NACE code or SIC code in the registration. That would also prevent the hermit crab sales. Would it not?
Yes.
Sure.
It would
This
include,
place that's selling the turtles now, they have a permit to sell those animals, or it's just like selling,
I think it's like
Souvenirs.
reselling anything. I don't think it's
okay.
regulated by the FWC, but I don't think you have to have a permit.
They don't need, no one comes to check to see
Unless you
that
have
they
a regulated,
are.
probably unless you have a regulated species, then you have to be permitted. Turtles.
I think they do have a permit, if I recall, when he spoke last. But it was through the Florida Wildlife.
FWC or DEP?
It
EP.
was through some.
according
In order to sell them, they had to get every store has to get a permit in order to sell them?
Well, do we go to the DEP and to suggest to them that they need to rewrite the ordinance to say you can't, or to ensure that they don't license facilities that sell turtles under 4 inches, and also enforce it locally.
Here it says, there's Florida statute, it says, discuss health requirements and consumer guarantee for animals transported into the state for sale, but no regulations or licensing for retail pet sellers. Not be a license to be a pet.
Maybe they're pet sellers. Need to look into this a little bit more.
The Humane Society going state by state. A little synopsis.
Does anybody, how's everybody feel so far? We need to look into it some more? Are we ready to actually make a council some guidance on what to do here? I mean, I'm of the opinion, but we should answer some of these questions for them or give them the best.
Right.
You know,
Well, I think we're in agreement that they shouldn't be selling those little turtles. The question is, how do we get them to
I
stop?
agree 100%, right. What's the most effective way to do it? And certainly avoiding local legislations by, you know, using other agencies to do it would be better.
Yeah, can we do it with existing laws, or do we need to write our own, a new statute? And if so, what's the best way to approach it? How are we going to decide that, Steve?
So I think there's three angles. We've got the no sales of the pet shop. We'll call it the pet shop rule.
Yeah.
No sales without a pet shop. We go to, if they're licensed, then we go to the licensing board and ask them why they're giving licenses when, you know, the retailers are selling girls and outside the, you know, the FDA law, and see if we can prevent them actually writing the license to them. Or three, going to the FDA and asking them, can you look into our situation and stop the sale? They'll probably laugh at it, you know, because they're out worried about importations of hundreds of thousands of animals and things like that. But the point is it can be a letter. Can we send you a letter, a form letter that you can rewrite and send? So to me, those are the three. Are those all reasonable?
Seems the Florida law is for dogs and cats.
What Florida law?
For
Society?
a pet store.
Oh, pet store. Sale of dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Regulations.
Yes, but I
I would
don't.
imagine, yeah.
I think one problem in Florida is, you know, sell live bait. Even if you somehow classify it as being, I wouldn't say, well, we're actually selling bait.
Right. That would be live organisms, yeah. That would be the no sale of animal rule would be the problem.
And now,
It's like the hermit crabs.
yeah, isn't it, it's some kind of preemptive thing where you can't like outlaw the sale of,
I mean, the state has some regulations on that.
so someone like selling, and I know I remember went through before and it said it was like, it had to be, if it was native to the state of Florida, and they're native to the state of Florida, just not our part of Florida.
Correct.
So that was a gotcha, I think, with our last one, wasn't it?
Right, yeah, they're native to northern Florida.
Right. They
Not-
interbreed.
Not if they're considered invasive. No, they're native.
Oh, they aren't.
We could pass a law that you can't trade a species that are native or invasive to our area.
Well, the problem, I think, being is it native to our area or not? What's the regional different, you know, maps that they work off of?
Well, my understanding is it's not. Well, it's native here.
What are your slider?
Why don't we just say no turtle less than 4 inches can be for sale? Not any specific, no turtle under 4 inches. It's easily measured. They often come with a different colored spider turtle, different species. Would get that.
Simply write an ordinance says that you enforce FDA's law in your
Or-
town. Means,
Shouldn't have to. I mean, you don't,
well, I'm just saying that then that, well, it gives the community or the town the ability to enforce the rule. But now they
You
don't,
adopt it.
nothing it tells them, pardon me?
You adopt, you know, state or federal regulation.
I mean, that seems like a pretty efficient way to do it. Another legal document for the town to have to deal with.
Another thing, since none of us are attorneys, is just come up with possible ways
Right,
and then present it to the attorney.
okay. All right, so, wait, it sounds, maybe that's the approach we take right there. We just adopt the, 22 CFR number FDA law prohibits the sale of 4-inch turtles.
At this point, yes.
Prevention of salmonella transmission to
Sure, yeah, I'll forward you this, there's a
mean,
perfect,
for
write up
protecting
there.
children, people are going to be a lot more for it.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I think. So we submit that, because the others are going to have more research. I think that would be the most efficient way to do it. Does anybody see any objections to that? Chad?
I want to hear from Rob. I think he has some feedback on questions and things you all been saying, and he's kind of been the impetus of this. Do you mind if he speaks for a couple minutes?
Sure, absolutely. Since we're on the subject, absolutely.
You bite my tongue over there.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of those questions, if you guys want answers to those, that's some of the research I've done and some of the things I do know. So if you don't want answers to any of those you want, you can ask me now. But what you guys just came up with is that's kind of, that would work great if you could just push for in like adopting the federal law to be a local law. The other thing you could do is just generalize, instead of generalizing for turtles or pets or animals, reptiles. I mean, reptiles on the whole are like the biggest invasive species here in Florida, aside from different species of plants. But reptiles, if you did something like that for an umbrella, if you just said reptiles, then you wouldn't have to get everybody upset about the hermit crabs and stuff like that.
Right.
Mammals, like you said, rabbits is an example. I don't see that being an issue in the future. Those do take up a lot of space. And I think even if we did just enforce the 4-inch rule, stores like this wouldn't be selling them because they need so much space for turtles that are 4 inches.
Sure.
What I'm worried about those, if they are making as much money as they want to, if we pass the 4 inches and then it went to, oh, well, we're making a lot of money, we'll just get bigger ones.
Right.
They might make the space for it, so then we might have to do the umbrella. But I don't know if you wanted to do it in steps to see what happens or however that would go. But I just wanted to offer, if you guys had specific questions, let me know and I can answer them for
Are
you.
they selling turtles now that are smaller than 4 inches?
The turtles right now are
yeah.
quarter size.
Yeah, so they are. So
Yeah.
they're in violation of laws as it is.
Right.
Right.
And if you want a picture, I have a picture of one of the 3
Oh,
that
I
I found.
believe you, yeah.
Right beside a quarter. It's just a cute picture, that's all. But yeah, so I mean, they're extremely small, and they're selling them in a little container that's maybe 4 inches by 4 inches.
Right.
So, yeah.
So the problem
Yeah,
is,
check it out.
although they're presently in violation of a law, there is no one to enforce that law.
Correct. So the permit they
In
hold.
order for us to do it, we have to have a statute in order to do it.
Right.
Okay.
So the permit that they do hold is a reptile sale permit. So every time I've called FWC to go check on it, they just hold up that permit in their face and there's nothing they can do. But FWC doesn't know about the federal law. At least, or at least the officers don't seem to, so they're not enforcing the 4-inch law, which is a federal law that you can't have a permit for because it's just allowed. So when the officers go in, they see the permit and then it kind of stops there. So that was the issue I was running into, and that's why it's here now.
I'm sorry, Rob, did you say it was reptile sale permit?
I'm pretty sure, I don't know the exact name of it. If you want, I have it in my notes, but it's a sale that allows a permit that allows the sale of
Sure.
reptiles and turtles, yeah.
Any questions for Rob while we still got him before we lock him up until the end? Okay, thanks,
I
Rob.
thought you guys might have some, okay.
Oh, no, it's
Your last
appreciated.
idea at the end was a good.
You know what? We need the whole community. That's what we need.
We just need to find out what that regulation is and recommend the town.
I mean, there's a good point. If we tell them to enforce the 4-inch rule, it's extremely specific to that situation.
Right.
And if they did decide to say, well, even if I had half the amount of sales with 5-inch turtles, 4-inch turtles, I still make $1,000. I'll larger tank or whatever. Maybe I'll just bring in 3 or 4 at a time instead of
Right.
50 of them. Do we feel there's merit that we actually target reptiles?
A 4-inch,
No, just
Reptile.
reptiles in general. Do we prohibit the sale of reptiles on the beach?
can we do that?
I think we can
Reason
do anything
to?
we can.
Do
Well, I mean.
we have a reason to do that?
Well, but mentioned, I mean, they're probably one of the largest invasive reptiles.
People are buying them off island and bringing them in.
There's nothing we can do about that.
I mean, if you go to Rural King, you can buy chickens, little rabbits, goats, anything, and transport it to the island if you wanted to.
Pet store and buy all the and bring them home. I think the idea is that umbrella, that overall umbrella would just prevent the sale of turtles, which is our objective, but also maybe head off any sites that be honest or fun or something like that. You know, to carry around to bars. I would be, right? My person. So where do we stand? Does anybody have anything? I mean, do we want to approach the council with what we just spoke about, and that is adopting this very specific ordinance for maybe solving the turtle issue, or do we want to approach it where we open it up, try to put in a ordinance that farther reaching would prevent? I mean, completely. Prevent the sale of turtles, certainly.
Let's see if we can get away with the turtles. If we can push that through, then go for something bigger.
Preventing the sale of turtles,
Let's see,
not even a
presenting-
4-inch.
Yeah, no,
4-inch.
just to enforce what the state law is now. We don't have to write anything new, we just have to enforce.
Another species he could pick up locally that he could sell that would be a problem for us?
Probably.
As well? I don't know, I'm just saying, is there another, would it be?
I don't know. Not as cute, though.
They're going to be more expensive. I mean, $20 for a little turtle versus, it's going to probably be $50 for a 4-inch turtle. So, you know, the price point is going to be prohibitive, or fewer will be probably sold at 4 inches than, I guess you'd call them an inch size, is what they are now. You just come out of the market.
Ed?
No, I think there's some appeal to just banning the sale of reptiles. I mean, lizards are obviously an issue here. Broad brushstroke, and it takes the issue and it kind of prevents. We had this hybrid. It's not exactly that species like that. Obviously, you can get it off island, but it'll definitely mitigate the, tourist, not educated, releasing turtles to their on the beach.
Right, which is our objective, but if we can also other future issues, I think that's positive too.
Maybe you do a notice to the public. Does anybody object to this, and see if there are any issues? Who's making a ton of money on turtles that we don't know? Their shake at it. That Murph.
Right.
I think reptiles in a broad stroke does address the lizard issues that are on the island. I'm not sure, if those lizards swam over or they're, pets or what, but.
If we say no reptiles, then we can't put the 4-inch.
Need to. It would ban the sale of turtles.
Totally, so we're not going to let them sell anything.
Correct. Certainly any reptiles were suggested.
Okay.
No, I think it's solid too. Well, you lean in,
I'm just kind of reading through some of the ordinances here, but I think I do kind of worry that the state has this habit of preempting. So, I mean, I would lean probably more towards the invasive animals as opposed to animal, but most of our invasive animals.
Right, but this is it's native to Florida, even though it's not native to the beach.
Yeah, that's a trick. Yeah. I think I wanted to talk to the attorney. It's your suggestion, we can take it up. Most of what I'm finding about the ordinances is specific reptiles.
I think of something we're prohibiting somebody from doing,
Yeah, it's a,
buying reptiles on the beach, and I just can't think of what that could possibly be. It's like you said, they can run over the bridge and do anything they want. Shop, right? This is the banning the sale of reptiles, not obviously the ownership of reptiles, correct? Yes, the sale. Oh,
Well, there probably already is a law about releasing.
I think FWC's probably got that zip. I think. Not native. Do we need to think on it, or are we ready to go? Somebody want to make a motion?
I mean, we could do both, can't we? And then let the lawyer decide which one is, I mean, can't we say ordinances no reptiles or ordinances 4-inch or larger turtles? And then if he says no to reptiles, can't really say no to the 4-inch rule because it's a FDA guideline.
Correct. It also remains that we just adopt the FDA law, and that situation from happening. Do we want to give them a couple options? Okay, yeah, I think that's worthwhile. So let's give, I'll make a motion. I make a motion to give council and obviously the town council recommendations to the sale of the 4-inch turtles on the beach. First one is to adopt the FDA law that prevents the sale of 4-inch turtles. Second would be to an ordinance that prohibits,
less than 4-inch, Steve, right?
I forgot the third one.
Reptiles, all reptiles.
Well, all reptiles is the last one. I can't remember what the second one was. Or, okay, so the first one would be to adopt the FDA regulation as an ordinance, and the second one would be to disallow any sale of reptiles on the beach. Options. Am I missing one? In favor, do I have a second?
Okay.
Greg seconded.
Okay, good. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so the motion carries.
That was to basically adopt the FDA rules for local enforcement. And the
Correct.
other was to prohibit the sale of reptiles.
Right, to just completely prohibit the sale of reptiles. Beach. Excellent. Way to go, team. All right, let's move on to our next agenda item here, which is committee goals to present to town council for direction.
This is tomorrow evening.
For me?
You're going to do that tomorrow evening, right? You're on the agenda.
I am, yeah, I didn't get confirmation, but I went and looked at the agenda package and those slides were in there, so I'm assuming I'm on.
You're on.
Okay. So tomorrow I'm going to go and to the council and ask them provide us input on all of those priorities we discussed last meetings. So I wasn't sure, I know you had this, Chad, but I guess it's not important, it's just some slides. I could Vanna White it for you. Basically, first page is just discussing the MRF ongoing projects. One is the yellow-bellied slider turtle. So investigating the sale on the beach, and there's recommendations forthcoming. So I'll probably be able to give them an update since we had this meeting prior to me presenting this. The second was Estero Boulevard roadway lighting. That's ongoing. Both MRF and the Public Safety Committee are represented on the Project Advisory Committee, which is kind of a steering committee, or at least an advisory committee once they hire the consultant. And then we jump into the prospective projects, and this is where I'm essentially asking them to comment on each of these and help us prioritize which ones we should work on first. The first is a fertilizer ordinance outreach. You know, we all did a new fertilizer ordinance, and we haven't communicated yet to the property owners and residents of Fort Myers Beach. It's our best kept secret, so we need to roll out a property owner education and enforcement plan, and possibly maybe in conjunction with the new watering ordinance, because that's a new ordinance as well. They kind of go hand in hand with landscaping. Second is reef-safe sunscreen products. So we are preempted by state legislation from any type of ordinance locally, banning the sale of non-reef safe products, and but we'd like to maybe investigate education and some type of voluntary sales program. If I captured that right, remember I'm going on what you guys told me during the meeting. Next is filling holes on the beach. So it's a big public safety issue, especially at night. Also interferes with nesting turtles and hatchlings. Big Carlos bridge rubble, the artificial reef. So we want to create a Fort Myers Beach artificial reef using the rubble from the Big Carlos bridge replacement when it happens in the next year or two. Benchmark Naples best practices. They did quite a few of those in the last number of years. And also maybe pursue grants through the Coastal Conservation Association, or even the WCIND, which is that inland navigation that granted the Big Carlos Pass dredging. I looked on their website. They've got some, I think, money available for different types of projects. Also, with the Big Carlos Bridge, make sure there's a fishing pier as part of that, probably similar to Mantanzas Pass, to maintain that old Florida tradition. FDOT is pre-planning that project, so now would be the time to jump in. Boat pump outs, so maybe on the boating side, we've got point source pollutants in our bay. What do we do? Are there certifications? Are we enforcing those? Should we start investigating that? Derelict vessels also. I would like to clean up the bay. Seems like there's more than there's been in a while. And I guess that's it. Did I skip a page? No. Got through there pretty quick. That's what I was going to present to council tomorrow. Any comments? Do I need to beef any of this up at all?
Did you talk about your first page where you have the invasive species management and beach rigging?
Okay, I did skip a page. I missed this first page. Okay, so the other three were, the first page were invasive species, Australian pines, Brazilian pepper, Mexican petunia. You know, do we want to educate? Do we want to discourage people from planting those, eliminate them? Do we want to legislate? We know Sanibel's has a non-invasive species law on their books. The next one was dune management and education. So there's been a recent number of gross infractions where we've got steer skids reformatting their dunes behind their house, but also the promotion of benefits of dunes to property owners. And the last was just beach raking. So do we have programs to promote dune development versus beach raking? And also reinforce the benefits of our natural beaches. Those, that's the list. I think there's about 10 of them in there, maybe 11.
One thing I'm going to comment on, Steve, is on some of these, it's good to have what you propose to do, you know, what MRF will actually do.
Oh, Murph will do, right.
Right, will do, or, you know, through invasive species. What do you propose? Does MRF go and mark trees, Brazilian pepper trees? Do we have an outreach program to find that they have them on some condo, to reach out to the condo association?
Right, that'd be under educate, yeah.
What action items can we, with that, you can tell council, this is what we want to do, these action items. Another thing is like filling holes on the beach too. I think that if you say we want Public Works to be actively filling holes, typically doesn't go over well when you're putting more demands on staff because they're...
Yeah, that's why you don't see it there, right? Okay. But no, the question is how can we solve that problem? We want to investigate how to solve that problem. So I was more general because to me it was more on the big issues, which ones are more important. Somebody have a pet peeve they want to get rid of. I don't know, but maybe give more examples maybe of the types of things we can do. But, that's good.
Another thing about beach raking I noticed, well, two observations on that. One is I noticed that there's raking in the downtown area where the beach accesses are, which is uncontrolled, right? For the hotels, they actually rake between, you know, the area and the landing
Through, just completely through the access.
I don't know if that's done by permission or whether that's it's the way it's done, but that was certainly the way it was this morning.
Really?
And another thing I learned from a neighbor of mine is that she's the daughter of the owner of the house next to us, and RBO kind of told her that people like sand from the house out to the water. That is a way to, one of the steps to do to make your house more rentable is to essentially get rid of vegetation.
Oh.
So I wonder if we can find out who she talked to, and we can reach out to the vacation rental, the VRBOs
Source.
and whatnot, and convince them not to recommend that.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it does have appeal to certain people, but vegetation has a big impact on other people too. And we want in our village. Good. So,
You know, when you're talking to this, it's good to have your ideas in your pocket too, so.
yeah, well, part of this was to actually, on these subjects, is to provide your input and make the notes, the group's
Just to
notes on
confirm.
them.
Want to go through them one at a time and?
Sure, I think that's awesome. So does anybody, I mean, we talked about the invasive species. Well, there I said educate, discourage, or legislate. I mean, basically, we would like to prevent them. And like you said, you can educate through outreach, you can legislate. Put on invasive species, anybody? How about dune management?
I think if we locate trees and can, talk to the people, I think probably get in the funding to remove the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Would be that prohibitive. Where like if they're under power lines, maybe you can get some from FPL or find me somehow.
There may be some arbor type grants for replacing big exotic invasives. So several properties that are probably seeding Australian pines into the dunes. They're obviously big shade trees, and they've been there for a while, and them out, and so that can be a tough ask.
Yeah.
The town does cut out the small ones, right? The small Australian pines, excuse me, in certain areas.
Yeah, with property permission,
All right.
property owner permission, most definitely after sea turtle season.
I know last year several of them were cut out
We
because
had
they
a
grow very
request-
quickly.
A request from the property owners in the WA, because obviously, I mean, you start getting big Australians, your view is going to be affected. So WC doesn't like them because birds of prey can use them to search out shorebirds. So things out. We're moving Scaevola toccata, which is the invasive. There's a area which is native, and then is in a lot of the landscaping. Unfortunately, it was used in landscaping thing.
Would the town help a property owner who had a big Australian pine and wanted it down?
I'm not
There's
sure.
no program for
I
that,
can't
is there?
speak to that.
Can you make it part of the permitting approval process that if someone is, like the one property particularly I know they're looking at, I think, tearing it down and rebuilding on the beach, and they have a lot of Australian pines.
Something like that would need to be codified. If I'm going to request, I might spend 5 figures or 5 figures to take out a tree. They're going to say, well, tell me in the ordinance, where does it ask me to do that? I mean,
Right.
I'm all for it, don't get me wrong, but I need something backing you up, not just smell and good looks.
That's a point to make, I think, in your presentation. I think of one example, particularly once they tear down the building, they actually have easy access to the tree to take it out. Once there's a building in place on the beach side to get to.
You're talking about going by Newton Park there, right?
Or at the old surf.
Right.
Okay,
There's others, I'm just kind of using,
right. So, for permitting, we don't have any landscape permitting. Is there?
Yeah, protected tree permitting, which is a little bit These days, that Florida statute allows anybody who has a letter from a certified arborist or maybe even a landscape architect to remove trees if they pose damage, possible damage to the property, et cetera. Our ordinance, kind of, if it's prohibiting beneficial use of your property, they're permitted to get out, and there's no hard and fast rules with regards to they must replace.
Right. Is there anything that says what they have to replace or what their landscaping plan?
Residential, I think they get into it a little bit with maybe developmental orders with some of the bigger commercial stuff, perhaps. Not on residential plans, no. Minimum number of trees, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I mean, that'd be a great time to prevent somebody from an invasive species.
I think there was a preemptive law put into the state, but didn't allow, or at least put limitations on.
Hey, how about dune management and education? Actually, maybe we'll skip that because we're going to cover that on the agenda.
Okay.
All right, and I'll make notes then. Beach raking? Any other comments? Raking over the beach accesses, is the VRBO, input. I think our beach rakers use those 4x4s. All that is a term for that, right?
ATV?
No. They actually have 4x4 piece of lumber.
Sure. To smooth it over.
Smooth it over, yeah. And I'm not sure that, I mean, that's local, correct? I mean, normally they only allow tines, right? If 2-inch.
I think there's a provision in the ordinance to allow for that, like a 10-foot piece of lumber behind it to without the ruts.
Yeah. That's what it does? It doesn't create ruts?
I mean, the whole process, you're gonna have some.
Right. Well, I know that they're state permitted, and I think that the state doesn't have that. I think it's Fort Myers Beach is unique that has that rule that they're allowed you to do that.
I have to look over their state permitting. I don't see anything necessarily against it. It's probably much less than 10 psi, which is regulate the vehicles to be.
Anybody else on beach raking? Fertilizer ordinance outreach. Be specific. Need to roll it out. I mean, right now there's no enforcement. Maybe the newer people, the ordinance, was it the model ordinance that we got, Chad?
Yes, sir.
Basically, you have to do, if you're going to, I mean, the big one is if you're going to fertilize your lawn or your property at any point during the year, you have to do soil test. I'm sure nobody knows that. And it has to, for phosphorus, and it has to, so that it requires it. Other high points that changed. The applicators also need to be permitted, I think.
State rule.
Yeah, okay.
State rule, but I think we may have codified that time of year where you have a blackout period, no fertilizer, or basically during the
Correct. Right. There's a time.
limiting the poundage of nitrogen per 1,000 square
1,000
feet.
square feet to a pound. Yeah.
Amount, limiting where.
Distance from waterways actually was lengthened. I think from 5 to 10 feet maybe. So again, I guess the point is that some of the changes, and it's never been rolled out. It's probably just sitting in the ordinance.
I think our PIO, she's been rolling out some education on social, a way to get some translated and out to landscapers perhaps. A great line that I've seen that kind of sticks with you, dramatic than the other, but green lawn equals green waterways.
Yeah.
The one that I saw a couple years back. a lot of fish killed back in 2018.
Yeah.
But, you know, education and doing our part and realizing have a green lawn that's right up to the wetlands and the dunes or the beach or whatever. It's obviously, you know, a culture that takes a lot of herbicide, pesticide, and fertilizer to maintain.
Sure. Well, you want to enforce native gardening and everything else, native landscaping. That would be all part of this outreach package, so I'm sure they're up for it. But you just have to get deep. I guess the secret is to get content to the IO, right? I mean, has there been, maybe Bill can answer this, has there been a process that the town takes when there's a new ordinance, communication plan, or do they just post it on the website and enforce people that are, you know, not following it?
I don't believe there is. Papers,
Maybe in the papers, yeah.
you know, we haven't had a election officer for a while.
Correct.
And it's a good position to get this kind of thing out. It's a really, we can develop something, give to her to put out.
Right. The secret then, if she's the mechanism, I mean, really for any ordinances, we're just dealing with environmental ones, but I mean, the town's got a lot of ordinances, but what she needs is content. She's obviously not an expert on the ordinance, and
I think that would,
kind of like water-wise, we need to give her some things to
Exactly.
push. Landscaping, the information that Chad brought up.
a whole table. She'll put it on Twitter, she'll put it on Facebook, she'll,
Right.
whole matrix of things she does.
Right. But, you know, does a letter or a copy of the ordinance property owners, let's say that at least, you know, they're just, it's commercial real estate for them. I mean, they're the ones that are calling the shots on landscaping. So how do you reach them?
You know, I mean, I have no idea how many people have their own laws. Well, the condo places, right, they have somebody who does it.
Right.
Houses and houses, kind of a mixed bag. Seems like,
Right.
actually, the snowbirds and stuff probably have some lawn service.
Correct.
You gotta reach the lawns.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, anybody else on fertilizer ordinance outreach?
We had just a simple chart that said, you know, it used to be this and now it's this. It used to be this and now it's that. So they're aware of all the points that they have to hit.
Well, I mean, anybody that's applying fertilizer has to do a soil test. No, that's a
I think
huge
people
one.
don't know
That's
that.
a huge one.
Right.
I'll bet a lot of these lawn services that work throughout the area, they've not been informed.
No, that's exactly, I mean, that's exactly right. On education.
We've also gotten a webpage up, you know, fmb.com/fertilizer. Just trying to find, there's a post real recently that Miss Jen sent out that I think she's pumping out on the social media that was basically a bullet point.
Yeah, you have
A
to,
lot easier to digest and have a 2-minute read versus a 20-minute read.
the big one. And then also, I mean, we've got the watering ordinance too. Is that those go hand in hand?
But I think we still need to get that one in front of council.
Oh, really? The one
Watering ordinance?
one,
Drought?
yeah, the short
That
term
already
or
went
the,
through.
I think we've done a first reading yet.
okay, well, then I'll scratch that off. Okay, how about this is where I could use some, reef-safe sunscreen products. He's not here, but Sarah, you had some knowledge of it as well, but I think the objective there is to promote reef-safe sunscreen on the island, or find ways to prevent unreef-safe sunscreen and to promote reef-safe.
And just giving knowledge to the shops, but, you know, so they don't have to do any of the, kind of like we had briefly said, maybe them pledging to all those products, advertise, then also be able to advertise themselves either on the outside of the shop or in whatever way, just, you know, that benefit as well.
Events too, I think Renee, an event.
Couple of good ideas that Sarah just kind of put out that may be possible is coming up with a sticker that a shop can put on their window that says sunscreens available inside, or maybe some kind of display. Got a few samples. I went into my dermatologist and not just zinc.
Correct. Yeah, I think it's okay. Sticker display. Pledge drive. If you pledge to sell it, then you get sticker and we'll get you material. Okay, filling holes on the beach. How do we solve it? It's just not throwing a on the back of the, as easy as that might be, it might be.
You know,
But how do we solve it then? I mean, we'll push back and say, then how do you solve that problem?
well, we went some time ago, and this may be before most of you were on board, is we came up with a few little handouts. Had like, you know, everything from dogs off leash, why, in the front it was the reasons why you shouldn't have your dog off leash, and on the other side it was the ordinance thing with holes. Problem is I don't think the town manager wants to have his staff in close interaction with a lot of people. Right now is a bit of a damper on that. It was one idea we had to implement a simple handout. People why. What?
Okay. It's handed out by the enforcement.
Did notice, saw one of the base carts. Now there's signs on the side of the carts. What were they about? One was about
Turtles, I think we saw, the first one was, I think was the COVID, social distance, and then I saw that and I'm like, well, having a real hard time with people closing their curtains, let's close their curtains real big
Right,
for
that
the
was the
sea
one.
turtles.
Yeah.
I think the last one we did was with the heat wave that we just had, just reminding people that to stay hydrated. An opportunity there.
Yeah, and maybe even expand it to not just base, but the other as on the beach a lot. Billboards. Maybe a cash card is not a real place to advertise, but it's a message out.
Right. Well, it's on the beach. Okay. Big Carlos bridge rubble.
I wonder if they could even adapt some of the signs that we have for accesses.
Could be, but then we got signs everywhere, signs. Right?
Song that's,
Break into song, Steve?
For them, but I'm against them. I think they can be effective, but you gotta get creative. Little seasonal mini signs, I think are pretty effective, but.
I mean, you're basically trying to change behavior, but it's hard to do without telling people what to do.
Right. Not a corrective behavior that needs to be done too, right?
I know I'm sounding like my dad.
I never thought you turned into your dad, did you? Okay, so Big Carlos bridge rubble. Any input on that?
of the idea.
That's a great idea.
Way to
So
do it, yeah, I think it'd be great.
we want the town to write a letter to the county, or what happens?
I think you would go to county first, that's their bridge rubble, ask if we can have it, and then you probably contact, we talked to Naples. I think Keith Laconin was for that too. They did theirs, they went out and they actually had divers, which they don't always do with, I think when they did artificial reefs, they look for some limestone. something where it just won't sink down, because a lot of these, they just disappear into the bottom of the Gulf. They were looking for some limestone ledges that they could actually set it on. And so they had divers there, and so they located these. They even had naming. They raised money by allowing people to buy geodesic domes to put on them, or naming the reefs, things like that. I don't know how many reefs, something like that. I mean, I haven't really thought about it too much, but
Who did it, Steve?
Naples, it's the town of Naples. Yeah, so Lee County has most of the artificial reefs out here. Lee County has put them in, but Naples put in, like how many? 30 or 40 or, I mean, a ton of them.
There's a movie about it. I think it's all closer to 50.
Exactly, yeah, there's a movie.
There's a-
They did a production of it to show what they did, and, you know, they did it on a really large scale, but I think for something like this, the CCA, which is a Coastal Conservation Association, they support fishing and boating and coastal conservation, but they grant a lot of projects like this if you bring a project to them. So I think, yes, I think it would be minimally, it cost the town nothing. I think there's grants and donations and things like that could, I mean, I'm just speculating, but.
I think we just have to work on it as an advocate, because we're essentially taking something outside the town's jurisdiction.
Correct.
So we don't really have control over where these reefs would go, because then again, none of them are going to be closed.
Correct. They would probably go in international waters, actually, right? After 9 miles out. So you need to have permits and things like that too. So.
We have a few reefs that
We do. They're yeah, May Reef and GH Reef are the two closest. May's in 18 feet of water and GH is in 28. So, and then the rest, Dock Klein and Edison, they're a little farther north. They're in 45 feet, closer to Sanibel. But really, there's nothing off of Fort Myers Beach besides those two, I think. So, hey, that's, you know, it brings in, I think Naples did it. It I think, spurred their diving business too, because you have reefs to dive on. Diving in open water, you're lucky to see anything, but on reefs, obviously, they attract wildlife. So, it would be a project, but that's one that I think would be, has merit. Again, Big Carlos Bridge, you know, one thing I thought was, I think when they build these bridges, they build the one, keep two, I mean, they build two bridges, and they don't tear it down and rebuild it. And in some locales, they've left some of that to actually fish from. I don't know what that would look like, or if that's an option, or whether you just take that down and then put a platform underneath them, like Matanzas. Like a
underneath,
viewing platform, you can.
underneath Matanzas, they just, looks like it's a new build, right? Underneath the old bridge.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's just a pier. It looks like a concrete pier that you can fish off of. You can watch the boat parade. It's a great place to watch the boat parade.
Even though, you know, that's an example where they built that bridge further south than the original.
Okay, right. And I think the new bridge is going to be Gulf, on the Gulf side of the existing. No?
Oh.
I think it's on the Gulf side, yeah.
But it may be, I mean, just researching and finding out if if this is already in the works.
Fact, yeah, I think so too. And I think it's just notification. I don't think anything's there with the, you know, I think, yeah, we just have to put that request in, because it's county, or is it FDOT? Builds the bridge. DOT, I'm guessing.
County Road.
Correct. So it's joint. Yeah, okay.
I would think, you know, just logistically, it's probably simpler and cheaper for them to load the barge and haul it off to sea than trucks.
If they can use TDC funds, not towns, but county TDC funds for the amenity, the fishing viewing platform.
TDC funds have kind of dried up this year.
Right. Well, I know the county's got a lot more than we have.
They're
But by the time they build it, right, things will be back. Okay, so boat pump out, I think we got that one nailed. Boat pump outs, any input on that? Any?
I asked to go out on the boat with Boston, and my request was denied. I guess it's because of COVID, so I don't know anything more than I did last time.
Okay,
I've not been educated.
okay. I think the question is are there certifications for enforcement?
The enforcement is by the Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard. Coast Guard can board any boat they want at any time, not be refused. So they can do that, but are they going to do it is the question.
Right, can we request it? Right, so our part of that would be, do you want us to look into what has to be done to make sure that we're not polluting the bay? Is there an indication that that we've got a problem? That come up in the point source?
To my understanding, that Penny Jarrett is doing a study right now on E. coli in the bay. I did not hear that from her. I heard it from someone else. Do you know, Chad?
Yeah, I did get an email on that. I believe the study was trying to see the effectiveness of a different, word I'm looking for, I'll just say analysis, that's not the right word, but a different way of determining whether or not it's human-related E. coli versus animal. If I recall, I can forward you the email from GCU professor.
Is the study in progress now? We don't have results.
I don't believe so. I'm not sure. It's
Yeah.
been with Miss Penny.
I just heard about it the other day.
I did ask for some more information. I haven't heard anything.
But I would imagine that those results might be startling. They might be enough to get people
I mean, I've looked
concerned
at-
enough to do something.
I've looked at, FDEP has several stations around in the Back Bay, and I've looked at the data, and I didn't see anything that was alarming. Having said that, it's a tough thing to nail. I mean, you have, it's a single release. The
Right.
tides are dynamic, currents dynamic. It's a tough thing to nail down unless you have like a real severe problem, like a sewage plant going into the mangroves or something,
Right. Would you swim in that water?
Sorry?
Would you swim in the water?
Oh, yeah, Public Works swims in there all the time. Visibility's not great.
The bay? Yeah. Did you swim there, Steve?
I just want
Last week I was in
to.
it.
Cindy won't.
No, I've been in there several times. Last week. And kids.
And the beach is a lot nicer, let's face it. There's the bottom. With your feet, with oysters and things. Touch the bottom. Swim out and swim back. Okay, so, I think enough there. And then derelict vessels. So I could probably flesh that out with that article a little bit about what we can take a look at, right?
Yeah.
Because there's grant money. Is the town pursuing that grant money?
I don't know.
The question.
What's the question?
Public Works.
Yes, sir.
Well,
The article says like 12 to 20 grand a vessel to,
they're saying $1,000 a foot in this article, I think, wasn't it?
I bet a long period of time, too, before you go through all the necessary paperwork and get the clearances and... But if you don't begin, never do it.
Right. Well, there seems to be more than ever, so.
I think it's a constant battle. Let's
Yeah.
just take them out.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows, I think, yeah. Okay, I think that's it for the prioritization list. On to our next item. If there's any comments? Okay. FMB Dune Management on our list. So, question there, I think Chad, you had our prioritized items you kind of said on there, which is a great place to start since we've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in my report to council last month, I haven't gotten any feedback on it, but just the number of times, whether it's just a condo or a house that wants to trim or manage their dune vegetation, getting questions on that, making that more of a permitted process. Staff is going out there, you kind of do a pre-inspection, post-inspection, et cetera, et cetera. Whether that's something that we want to implement here as a process or not. Also, just giving guidance to the rakers as far as proximity to dunes. In the past, there's been a managed beach zone document that council approved back in 2009, and then that was the impetus for a FDEP permit, which went from 2012 to 2017, and the purpose of that was basically to create a program to restore dune vegetation that's been lost over decades from development, and also to develop a program to educate property owners and residents on the value of the dune vegetation, and try and create a partnership to encourage future dune vegetation restoration. So, like I said, that permit expired in 2017, and I think it was mostly limited to the renourishment area. We do have renourishment coming back up. Soon. We're going through the state process right now for funding. And also, like you had mentioned before, there's been several violations where it just seems either people don't know or don't understand or just don't to follow the rules with regards to dune vegetation and dunes themselves. So, like you said, there's been several skid steer issues through dune vegetation over frontal dunes.
There's a recent condo issue too, so it's just, I guess ignorance to our ordinances, and they
Right, I think
evolved or.
yeah, I think there's got to be a balance. I mean, it's a people's beach. White sand sells the beach. We all know that, but you don't want to let it go, out of control. But you give people an opportunity to create a dune and manage it. And I think the biggest fear is sometimes people just, it's a very regulated kind of thing. So they have this regulated thing in their backyard. And sometimes whenever you have something, people are going to be.
Sure.
They just don't want to do it. It doesn't matter.
You put it in, you can't take it out, is what they say,
Right. So I think let people be partners in it instead of just idea.
Well, that's the thing. So when you're talking about having a permitted process to keep your dunes, what are you talking about?
So the dune's a highly regulated area. Not everybody's educated. They just want to maybe just go and trim. Maybe they think that coin vine is an invasive species, which it is. It does have an invasive nature, but it's still a native species, so it's protected. Or they want to move goats around or whatever that's not necessarily kosher. So what just providing that education as to what can you do, what can't you do. Yes, this is torpedo grass. You can hand rake it out. That's, the town is permitted to do that. This is, these are sea oats, and this is regulated. This is a sea grape. You can't take off more than 25% of the foliage, or just.
Part of the, I know I'm speaking to someone with some experience, and I'm a dune advocate. Like, we closed off a couple of the paths we had through the dunes for turtle season. We made like a nursery area there. Now, over summer, that fills in. If I want to go and clear that path that filled in over the summer, am I going to have to get a permit for that?
Right now, the town does not have a permitting process for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's allowed to have, what is it,
40-inch walkthrough, one per property.
So there's one per property, it says?
That's what's in I think it was 20-03, the EC zoning, -02, or I can't.
Because I understand, like you're saying, the trade-off is that the more restrictive you are to what you can do once you put in the dunes, the less likely people are to.
Where that has a place, he says, once the dune starts growing, you can't stop it.
The next storm comes along, which it will.
Right. But, you tell them what the benefits of those are too, so.
I mean, I notice I know, I don't know how to convince anybody here, but, you know, I see people coming out and taking pictures with the geo tassels in the foreground and the
yeah.
sunset in the background. It's a very common thing to dig with, and are a very beautiful part of the beach. My wife counted, we have like 15 different types of native dune vegetation somewhere.
That would really be outreach. I mean, does there have to be, have to look at the current ordinance, and I mean, is that out of date? Or is there any, you mentioned at one point that there was some give and take, or I don't know if it's written that way.
Right, so,
I'll let you do this if you put a dune in, or,
right, so in the managed beach zone, it was kind of, you know, we want to establish a dune here, but if we only rake it, if we only rake it 10 feet away from it, it's obviously going to keep on creeping. That's kind of the fear of people, you know, they want to, you know, either a nice frontal dune or something fits their idea of where they want it without the creep. So in that document, and then in the permit, they allowed it within 2 feet.
okay. Is that in there now?
Like, yeah, I mean,
Okay,
in
okay.
the document that the
I was
council.
wondering why, you know, on certain, a lot of dunes, you see that they're right up next to the dune, literally, you know? I mean, they're not even close to 10 feet away.
Right.
Rake.
That was, I mean, that was part of the horse trading that went on for the renourishment and establishing dunes in order to get the sand.
Yeah, which I think is worthwhile. It's just, they need to, is that just as long as that homeowner's at that home? Or if it's sold, then all bets, you know, are off?
Right, no, so it wasn't,
Or do they, I mean, do the rakers know which people have those? Does the town know?
sure, I mean, Bill Perry was, I mean, I think he was pretty, I mean, him along with Keith were pretty integral, and I think Bill had a lot of relations with the property owners because of his raking business and help implement it. I'm sure he's aware which properties. That's the idea. I mean, so you're lessening the regulations so you can get a dune built in kind of a balanced approach.
Right, so really for the dune management, it's really outreach, not legislative at all. What you say is written is adequate? I mean, what do you have that you can send us?
I mean, so, I mean, in the ordinance, it's fairly black and white. There's nothing that's necessarily incorporating in this policy, but we have had policies that council have passed in the past that, you know, allows a little bit more management of the dune. So, and looking at Sanibel, they have specific times where they say you need a vegetation permit if you are, you know, removing a tree, which we also do, or if you're taking off 25%, more than 25% of the foliage, which is like an arborist thing. You know, if you're touching any mangroves, which we just defer to the state on that. So I think education's key in anything that we do. We want to do more with regards to dune vegetation and requiring if you're going to start trimming dune vegetation. Do we want oversight on that? Do we not want oversight on that? Do we have, you know, we want to review this policy and modernize it because it was only kind of for the northern section of the island?
I think we should do that. I think we should put it on for the agenda for a month. God would forward us that and we can discuss it then. Unless you've,
I'd like to keep it on the agenda also.
Yeah.
And I think based on the responses we get from the council,
Right.
those will then become the next agenda items. But in the meantime, that's, you know, this is ongoing. And yeah, I would.
I think that's one of the most important things we can do is grow our dunes, our living beach healthy.
I do too. I mean, just the diversity it brings also to the beach is fantastic. Animals and so can you send us what the ordinance that's I don't have good luck finding ordinance.
Yeah, I'll send you all what we currently have for dune management ordinances, as well as, I have for the dune management plan, the old FDEP permit, is the bulk of it.
And will you send the
Okay.
beach raking one also?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Have that one.
You have it?
Yeah, but you can send that, please, Chad. Mine's paper. I think Ray gave it to me.
I'd like to read through it again.
Yep. Be enough.
So what's, so is permitting as well? Did you say the DEP stuff?
With regards to the dune management plan,
Right.
yeah, it's absolutely regulated by FDEP.
Okay, that's in there too, okay.
Right. That's kind of where it becomes tough. We have town policies.
They have their ordinances. Okay, good. Well, that's,
Statutes.
I think it'll help to read what's on the books, and then we'll have a much better discussion too. All right. Any other questions on management, or dune management, I should say? Okay. Okay. Good, let's move on to the Good Citizen Award, the Murphy, and monthly article. That on there too. So, does anybody have any Murphys?
I've got one, I mentioned it last week, but I don't think you had any kind of vote on it. That was Sue Morris, who was active in getting this the Unity speed zone.
Mm-hmm.
The point person for the group down south that was really driving it. Other than I'm sure
That
that Chad.
seems, that seems timely because of this manatee death this last weekend.
That's a nomination I would make.
You found.
Anybody else? Ms. Rose?
No, my idea hasn't finished yet. He's not a fast worker.
I have one, and I don't know if I brought this up last time. It's Hank. It's the two young girls from Indianapolis that were at the dig, Chad, that you were at,
Yep, I remember.
and
You could just see the light bulb going off in Steve's head. Hey,
my
wait.
camera. Girls, can I take your picture? Then I gotta ask them, what's your name? I'm like, I need witnesses around me. I need your names, you ladies, just because, we do this thing. But anyway, they were, after they happened upon us when we were digging a nest, and then they disappeared, and they came back with bags of trash. They were out. One of them had a target, I think, of 10 cigarette butts, and she said she blew her target away. Anyway, I got their photos, so that one's in the bank, anyway. So,
Sue.
Oh, Sue, it's timely, okay.
If you move Sue, I'll second it.
Sue.
Second Sue,
And I'll second Sue.
let's vote for Sue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Okay, so Sue Morris will be our Murphy of the month, and our Murphy author is, do you know if you're here, or do I have to look it up? October 9th,
It's me.
that's you,
October 9th.
Sarah, okay. Bill, can you send do we need somebody to hunt down this, Sarah? Or there's nothing that says you can't.
Oh, for the Murphy?
The Murphy, yeah.
I think you're talking about who's going to be the author.
Well, I call it the author of the Murphy, so they send the picture and then they say,
Oh,
we
okay.
recognize Sue Murphy for this. So there's 3 or 4 things, and it's up to once I submitted, I told the article writer if they want to modify it, they can, but 'cause I didn't know how it was formatted and who did that. You do that?
Yeah, I usually hammer it into the form.
Okay,
But we just did one that went out today. We just,
you did? That was what I was used to.
you can send me that. I've been putting together, and I figure I'll at least do that through one round.
Right.
See
It's
what's-
usually their name, where they're from, what they did nice, and
And a picture.
that's about all. Yeah, and the picture's a big one, so.
I can do Sue.
The content for Sue, okay, and then Sarah then needs to get you did you come up with a subject yet? Surprise us, you don't have to tell us now.
Well, reusable bags was one thing.
Doing the reusable bags? Or,
That was put on, I think that was shelved actually with COVID.
With the COVID.
Asking for the money,
Businesses,
yeah. We were
yeah.
pretty close. I
Not
mean,
just-
we still had a couple left to go. I think going back and
Right.
asking them, I mean, that was on one of our projects, so I never have really brought it up whether we continue or dash it, but
Another idea too is to, pass it off on somebody. Foundation, or organization, see if they want to.
I feel like there needed to be a little bit of an economic, I think when we discussed it earlier in the year.
Economic and plus, reusable things are quite as,
Yeah, it did come up actually that they said not to bring them into grocery stores.
Is that true?
I think so. I mean, I think I read that somewhere. Yeah. I don't know, the bag, they're saying that, they want you bringing stuff from home. I don't know, has anybody heard that?
Oh, you mean in regards to COVID?
Because of
Yeah.
COVID, yeah,
Oh,
just
I know.
specifically because of that, yeah.
I mean, Publix never didn't follow it. Target did. I know Target for a while was not allowing anyone to bring.
Oh, really? They actually
Actually,
allow
yeah,
you
it
to
wasn't
bring it in?
allowed.
Yeah, I just thought
I
it
don't
was,
really shop there, but I did, I heard that. So some places were feeling that way. They didn't
I
want
mean, I
to.
think it's still solid. I think maybe just
Yeah,
We're a little
absolutely.
worried.
Sarah, so if you're looking for a topic too, another, good idea is just to go through the things we have on the agenda. They're timely, that we're trying to communicate, and then learn about them. If it's not something you're particularly knowledgeable about or
Right.
is in the front of your interest, a lot of times I find that is a way to really learn some interesting things while you're researching.
Yeah, so whatever it is, as if it is reusable bags, but you need to get that to Bill by September 9th is when it's due,
Yeah, so we like a week before,
week before these dates then, that you gave me, okay.
and I'll also need a headshot.
Of me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
That's funny, that's
Mrs.
good, the most you
DeBeer.
just from anybody. Picture of me?
Just put Mrs. DeBeer, don't.
With your new
don't
name,
put your
right?
name.
Yeah.
That's not the.
Take a picture of
is
two
that the
beers.
Diamond people, isn't that De Beers?
Yeah.
An S.
Yeah.
Is it an S? Or is it De Beer and then they always say De
What's
Beer?
the beer?
It's
Yeah.
De Beer.
Oh, she's marrying into diamond money, huh?
Pretty good.
Must be quite a ring.
That down now. Okay.
Before we move on, your suggestion with the women who were picking up the trash, did they pick up cigarette stubs? Because I think we can highlight that, Anna Murphy. People don't realize the cigarette stubs are trash. There are thousands of them on the
Put
beach.
that in the writing,
So
exactly.
we might narrow down what they picked up in saying that they were astonished at how many cigarette stubs there were or something
Right,
along
right.
those
That she
lines.
said she wanted 10 and I don't know what the number
Tell her
had, but it
she
was
got them just like that.
one of them, yeah, right. And then she picked up, I mean, she had a big bag of them. But there's probably other trash in there, but we can do that. That's easy.
Are we putting that one in the bank then?
That's in the bank. That's
Okay, good.
right. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You want Sue up first and that one in the bank.
Correct. Yeah, that's what we voted. Yeah, one's harmless.
Right, but not just trash in general, specific.
Correct. She,
Right,
yeah,
well
and her
mentioned.
response was, yeah, boom, 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 boom. They gave me their email address so I could send them a photo of their newspaper article. They had to approve the photo too. Let me see. Another one. All right, so. My agenda. Members items and reports. So we're going to start from the right this time. Mary Rose, any?
But just the update on the turtles, there were 131 nests, and we're down to, maybe half a dozen that haven't hatched. It was a very successful year. But I would like to take this opportunity to ask Chad about the sandspur collection today. Were you there this morning?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Go.
Good. I think we collected about guys out there, and I spent about an hour and a half out there. And we collected probably, I think it was 4 or 5 10-gallon bags full of just the seeds, mostly just trying to target just the seed pods rather than take the whole plant, because that beach is going to be tilled soon anyway. So we're just trying to produce the seed bank of sand spurs for, shorebird fledglings. If you've ever seen, they can get
The photos.
accumulate, they
Right.
get stuck, they don't really. Yeah, so I'm just trying to reduce that seed bank.
How much did you get again, Chad?
4 or 5 gallon, kind of smaller trash bags.
Just seeds? The
Well,
three
I
of
mean,
you?
there were you're taking a bit of the stem, but we're not trying to take out the entire plant. Just remove it, and then tilling is going to come soon and take everything out. So that way, those seeds are not.
Right, otherwise you'd be replowing all those
Right.
seeds. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
planting them.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it in my yard. You just keep picking the seeds, and eventually, you can eradicate it. And eradicate's a big word, but at least manage it. There's a lot out there.
You just take the whole plant just because it's like one hand, you get into the other of it and just,
Yep, yeah.
and so there's a lot more work to do.
Yeah.
I think Friday and Saturday morning.
Definitely Friday. I believe Saturday morning as well. And then I think some Lee County, Miss Penny hooked us up with Lee County schools environmentalist, and they're going to have some kids out there, hopefully older kids, because it is a little bit pokey. I know my older kids could handle it, but my younger daughter would not do so well. Little sand spurs can hurt.
I'm planning on at Friday morning.
The bad weather did not hinder you. You went out there.
No, that's perfect. We did not a drop of rain, plenty of shade from the clouds. It was perfect.
Good job. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And thanks to Miss Penny for organizing volunteers.
Found out about it, I think, from Bill, sending it into you.
It's a good idea because that area it's a bit of an anomaly because you say we don't really like raking, but the raking is the reason why it's a bird nesting area. And it looks pretty nasty. I think some time ago we were doing some dune planting, and I asked Keith Lackerman and said, "Are you getting ready to rake that? Is there anything we can go there and
Interesting.
use for other
Plant.
dunes?" And he said, "No, it's all pretty much."
It's colonizers. It's mostly torpedo grass, crow's feet, and the sand spurs. The torpedo grass is invasive, exotic. The other two are just colonizing. And so they're native. Sand spurs are just a nuisance.
Right. You're supposed to lick your fingers before you remove those? You ever heard that?
Works.
The enzymes, from your
So it just-
saliva.
There's a moisture.
No, it's like the enzymes actually does something, just affects the tip of the sand spur. It prevents it from, it's maybe the very tip of it. That's it. Interesting, it works too.
I was picking
It
thorns
still
out of my
sticks
hands
you a
all
little bit, but
night.
it doesn't really get, you can feel it, but it doesn't attach itself to your skin.
Thanks for that hint.
If you want to go, then we should get like some scissors or trimmers or something to.
I just did bare hands, I kind of, you round them up. We were doing kind of, the area that we did today was kind of closer to the condos for the benefit of those condos to try and tackle that first. And then I did bare hands. The other guys had gloves on. To each their own. I think, the scissors might be a little bit more tough. And the most trying part of it is the just bending over back and forth and transporting yourself.
Okay, and Friday it's 9:30.
I'm not sure. You'd have to coordinate with Mr. Brad.
That's all for me.
Okay, good report. For anything?
Nothing this time.
All right. Reports. Okay. Members report. I've got
I've got a couple things when you're done there too, Steve.
a couple things here. Yeah, one is the concessions on the beach. Is Is that, so I had a little incident with parasailers. Is there ordinances that regulate how close they can be to the beach? No, is that, I mean, it's a marine, obviously Gulf's a marine resource, but is that a public safety issue? The
Is it
issue,
the boats themselves?
well, the issue is this, so anchored in about 10 feet of water, out maybe 100, maybe 60 yards from the swim buoys, fishing for tarpon. Parasailer, Renali parasailers written all over, came by, I mean, within probably 30 feet of me, sent a 3 to 4 foot wake, and just, I mean, it was, I couldn't believe it, like sending right off of the seat. And needless to say, I was screaming, and then, of course, the phone number's right there. Picked up the phone, I said, hey, is this my office, and I said, the reason I'm bringing it up is, I said, hey, you just, got a little close. I said, what are you doing so close, to an anchored boat? And I said, don't you have, it's common courtesy. Oh, I can't control it. I can't control where the parachute, he's telling me. So I'm thinking, we got an issue here, because there's a guy in a kayak here, there's tons of jet skis. And then also I said, well, I'm fishing. He says, I can't care about what you're doing. This is the response. I can't care about what you're doing, and I have to go. I don't have control of where I can go because of the parachute. And the other parachute concessions were clearly maybe 3 miles off. I mean, just out there having no problem. So obviously that bothered me. Like I said, there's a lady on a stand-up paddleboard just at the buoy. There's a kayaker out there, and it's Labor Day weekend, so there's a bunch of jet skiers too that are known for not really knowing exactly what they're doing. So I guess I bring it up just to say that I guess maybe as a maybe not as a MRF member, but even as a resident, I'm going to find out if they're really supposed to be that close. And if they don't have control, then it would seem to me that they need to distance themselves from that busy area that's right outside the swim buoys.
Yeah, those permits are coming up for renewal, so I can put you in touch with the staff that's dealing with that.
Okay, that'd be great. Find out about that. Also, there's something we can do. I know that the lagoon is open back up, correct?
I believe it's closed up since. Happened maybe a week ago.
Okay.
It happened overnight.
Okay. I'll skip that. Also, there's I got an email from STC, the Sea Turtle Grant Programs. I think opening, they've got money again. I don't know if that, I don't know if as a MRF organization, as a town, they give to coastal towns. If you live on the coast, you're eligible for improvements or something that would benefit, I think, sea turtles. So we talked about these things last year, Bill, about I don't know, things on the refrigerators of the rentals or something, just to get people to close the drapes or to make sure their lights are, I guess drapes are closed. When lights come on, drapes close or whatever, Talked about all kinds of things. I don't know if that's something we can do as a MRF organization to apply to those, or is that something that staff
Yeah, I believe, I received something from Miss Eve. It was earlier today, but like I said, I was having email issues today, but I did see something like that. She had mentioned close a curtain sticker, which I think would be a great idea. I do need to get back in touch with STC and see if they're going to actually do that property grant where they were focusing on properties that needed, some camping on lighting fixtures, etc. Get them into compliance.
Okay, so you're on top of that one already. Or at least
she
sent you
I'm aware. I don't know if I'm on top of it. I'm aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. I think you have to be either
Mailing list, I think I got an email.
there have to be like a local, county, etc., or the main permit holder themselves to it would come from staff.
Okay.
Yeah, the curtains idea is a great one. done an inoculation to get the renters to curtains. It's by far, that's definitely one of the biggest issues as to light pollution on the.
Right, and the last thing I have, and it's really more of a town thing, I mean, not necessarily a Murph thing, but the ordinances, if you look up ordinances on the website, they have the final marked up versions on a lot of them. I mean, not just for what we work on, but for a lot of them. It seems like the very last edit that was approved, and still have the strikeouts and stuff to show council, I guess, when they passed it. But a lot of them, there's just never been a clean rewrite of it. And it makes them super hard to read, I guess.
That Municode is where you can look up ordinances, and it's a little bit of a lag with ordinances adopted and actually getting into Municode nice and clean.
That's a third party.
It's an organization, a business, or whatever. I'm not sure if it. I don't.
Is that where our ordinances reside?
Yeah. Municode, MUNICODE. I'll send y'all a link. Whenever I send you the ordinances, I'll basically just send you links.
Okay, so the ones that I'm opening then are those.
Those are the ordinances.
Oh, but those aren't on Municode though, correct?
The older ones are in Municode, and then some of the new ones that we passed today haven't quite made it into Municode. So like the Sea Turtle Conservation Ordinance is not in Municode yet. So
I see.
Whenever I'm quoting it and referring to it, the sections, et cetera, haven't been assigned. So I just basically just use the ordinance. But anything that's older, that's been codified for a while, I'll use, section 14.-3 of article whatever of chapter.
Gotcha.
I can send you a lot easier.
Perfect. That's it for me.
I was looking through the email that I got on the Sand Spurs Park at Carlos Point condo, which is 8350. This is where your Audubon stewardship, but I guess that doesn't really apply if you don't have one. They say they want like 5-gallon buckets, 30 gloves, close for the sun, face mask in case you get close. Tomorrow at 9, and then Saturday at 8.
Thursday or Friday?
Friday, sorry. Friday at 9, Saturday at 8, and they basically walk a line 6 feet apart and just try to sweep the beach of the. And also, I'd probably recommend that if you're like me and you melt in the sun, wear maybe a swimsuit, get under your clothes so you can go for a dip because it really starts getting bad.
Carol.
Yeah, so that's in case anybody's interested, and I'll probably announce that at the council meeting tomorrow too. Other thing that Penny was talking about was she's looking for a way to try to give the shorebirds the kind of visibility, the concern that sea turtles have. Yes, and we like to try to use some of those things to create the same kind of empathy and concern for birds. So I don't know if you guys are going to put that in your agenda, if you want to talk to Penny, or just have an open discussion about what we can do to try to raise awareness of our nesting birds, and make them more of an interest to people who come and visit. One of her ideas is come up with a book with the stories of the birds, like we've written for the paper, and some of the beautiful pictures of birds. The thing that's in front of council is kind of trees to put in Times Square. Some people want to put coconut palms, which of course are invasive, are certain maintenance. Sable palms are kind of the go-to one, but they're common, if you will. So any ideas about what we could do with vegetation there in Times Square? And it's reappointment time. Not everybody is reappointed. It's every other year. So if you joined recently, you may have taken a seat that is up for reappointment. So you should have gotten the notice, I think.
I think Jennifer and Renee.
I got mine.
Jennifer's got her paperwork. I'll send another form to Renee.
Okay. She had a message in her email recently about, okay, so
When does council vote on?
October meeting, I think it's like little later part of October. I think the due date though is in September.
Get the address, Bill, one more time.
Through 80, it's the last condo going south, so it's 8350 Estero.
Okay. Well, we'll open up public comment once again. Does anybody like to speak? Right now, what the hell?
Thank you guys for helping me with the turtles. And those Renali boats are a menace.
Yeah.
I'm almost 100% sure they're responsible for the management. I was the one who called FWC. I was on a kayak tour and I saw them over it. And I saw the blood, and then I went over and there was a management.
Really?
And they're constantly in the back going full speed in the back bay. I'm always fighting on my kayak tours and stuff. So that's I've called FWC on them, but every time I see it, which is every. Anyway, thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Rob, for coming and us out. So, the agenda for next meeting. We take turtle sales off for now, unless council brings it back to us. What's that look?
You know, I would leave it on until you get some
I suppose
resolution.
until it actually closes out, we'll put that on. At least it'll allow us to bring it up.
Then you'll probably want to provide a recap to what actually happened at the council meeting.
Yep, so B then can just add recap after items. B, committee goals to present to town council for direction recap. FMB dune management. We've got a to-do here that Chad's going to send the dune info to us. And be better prepared for that item. Is there anything else before we put the Good Citizens Award? Did we want to put up Times Square foliage recommendations? Because that'd be timely. Did you say that's October they'll make that decision? Or?
I'm not quite sure when. I don't know how important it is to make that decision right now, but well, I'm going to reach out. I have some arborist friends too to find out if there are more of a marquee, iconic tree that we could put up that would withstand the very coastal environment. I'm not sure if oak trees are that great right on the coast.
Okay.
Or I don't know, something that's more marquee than sables.
Right.
Not to downplay sable palms, they're lovely trees, but
Sure, absolutely. Good. How about the garden club? Are they? You think they have recommendations?
You'd be better off with the Native Plant Society, or they don't go into trees.
Well, they're sort of not on the beach. Garden club is, but I think they're kind of in cahoots. Would be the same. Anyway, let's add that. And if you have any ideas, hey, if you don't, that's okay too. So let's add that. Times Square foliage recommendations. And then D is we also have the Good Citizens Award, aka the Murphy. So, anything else I'm missing?
About the derelict vessels, are we done with that? You don't have anything else to talk about?
Well, we'll have the priority list. So unless we want to
Okay.
start ahead without it, I thought we would wait for the
Right, we'll wait and
council's.
see what we get.
And we can add agenda items before we approve the agenda. So maybe that's the way we'll do it. We'll put the top priority items on there and then we get started.
Unless someone wants to, on their own, go look at any of the items, and then they can bring it up.
Right. Well, we've got the item here about how we can help shorebirds seed also. I would say we put that in the bank. We have to put that as our next priority item after these 11 here. All right. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Sarah, you good with that? Mrs. Beer? All right, then I am going to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay,
Meeting.
and next month, if not sooner, in the
Oh,
hood.
I think there's enough sand in Newton to put some seals in there now.
Okay.
Do you have any extra hunks? Do you think it's not worth
After
it?
turtle season.
Okay.
I think, you know, like our little nursery.
Where's the foliage going in Times Square?
So I think we need to look at the, I don't know, I think
Should
they
it have
have, I
that?
think they have maps and
Yeah.
stuff.
That gel, which put a little bit of hole in
They
it.
have, also, I like the 3D ones, you know, looking at a map is useless.
Well, I know where the
I
water
think
is.
they're planning on palms and stuff, so.
Replacing the palms?
Yeah, I think they're gonna redo it all, so I think, yeah, they're gonna replace everything, I think. I don't know if they're gonna save anything down there, or if there's anything down there even to replace. So it's hard to say.
When you were out fishing?
Can I ask you a question?
No, I went, actually
why
later
don't you
that
just
day, I
release-
did do better. I went a
yeah,
little farther off. I
Why
went
don't you
0 for
just
2.
release
I
the
did
yellow
jump 2
belly
finally. I haven't had a lot of
We're not
success
gonna have
this
to
year
buy
yet.
any. You
Because
can,
I've been fishing only on Fort Myers Beach. I haven't been going up into Pine Island Sound, so.
yeah, I don't even know if it'll work, but I was just looking at how much sand is treated there. And
Oh,
it
yeah?
looks like it's still moving in.
There was a lot of sand.
I've got two that I rescue them
Monday,
all
Monday
the time.
during
And
the afternoon,
they
first thing in the
nest,
morning.
you know, Kyocera shops, that pond.
I think that's when that.
No,
the
like-
alcohol-
like you said, we'll just keep on
So
trying.
they come and
Yeah. Outside
nest
the pass
underneath
or
the
inside?
street every year.
Along the beach
Oh,
near
yeah,
the
yeah,
house.
yeah.
Okay.